Right, so let's go over the parts of a cover. So the main part is obviously going to be this up here, which is the logo of our magazine, also called a masthead. Right, now that masthead, depending on the type of magazine, it'll be in the center or it'll be on the left hand side of our magazine. They'll be displayed one on top of the other, and the most visible part is going to be this left hand side of our magazine. And when we have, a bigger logo, we would probably center it. Same thing. I think the easiest one to look at would be Vogue. Also, I want you guys to notice that with a font like Vogue, we have these very hairline thin parts of our letter or character, and it would need to be this big so that these little hairline arms do not get lost in printing, and or we're no longer able to see recognize the actual logo of our brand or our magazine. As you guys can see down here, it starts to get lost. We only see the thickest parts of that masthead. So just keep that in mind when you're choosing a font for your branding. The same thing does not happen with something that is thick throughout or something that's more easily readable. Readability is a big thing when it comes to all of these InDesign files, because at the end of the day, visual aid is just the imagery, and the text is going to be the big bulk of what it is that we are making. Now, a pug is going to be almost like a call to action, like it's free to have, or whether a magazine is free, which is literally what it's saying right here. So maybe it is not a skyline. It could just be a tagline, meaning that it is a smart and witty statement defining the magazine. It's usually positioned next to the masthead, which I thought was this, but this is a dateline. Well, as that says, right? Your dateline will include usually when the issue was made and or a web address for your issue. We'll also have a main cover line, and like I said before, just with the logo staying to the left hand side, your main articles are also going to stay to the left hand side. Buzzword, which will usually be like look inside, or like this one right here, best stuff of the year. Sometimes it will have the name of the person on the cover. That's because it's something that's supposed to attract you to open up the issue. Supporting cover lines, which is again the same thing, just trying to portray what's going inside of the issue. And then a puff or a flash, which is again just a buzzword but more like bigger, more prominent. Usually your lead article will be in relation to whatever it is that is undercover of your magazine. As in here, I believe it's here. This should be your main article. Oh no, it's over here. It's barely visible. Be careful with the colors. You want to have some sort of contrast so that that doesn't happen. Alright, so your biggest part is going to be the masthead, and then some sort of relatable fluff about what's on your image, and or the name of your main person on that image, and then your articles as they're being kind of like flash shown. Alright, this is a pretty good font to use, right? Or using your masthead or your font as a design element, kind of add more to your magazine. And here's an example of that logo being on the left hand side. Be careful that whatever it is, whatever imagery you guys use for your cover, when the character, if it is a person, is not making eye contact, is not as eye-catching as when that character is making eye contact. We as humans tend to seek out faces, and when faces make eye contact with us, it makes us want to look back and kind of go through whatever it is that's staring at us. It's almost like noticing faces on like random objects as you're walking through the street. We just can't help it. And so that eye contact is very good for that eye-catching cover. I also want you guys to notice the play with the colors is also very good in something like this. It helps break down the text into more digestible chunks. Again, here is our masthead being on the left-hand side. You get the name of the magazine, and then what it is, and then another more what it is, and then we have our different articles, and this would be our main article or our main spread. Having that good use of white space, not just when it is white space, but having a good balance of having your subject and that empty space, not just to call it white space, but you guys get what I mean, will help bring emphasis to your covers. So it's something that we definitely want to keep doing and do it well. Let's look at a whole spread with the cover. So we have our name, we have our skyline, okay, we have that it's free, we have what it is that's going on inside of this magazine or what the magazine is about, we have an issue number and a date, and then we have our main article within. This does not have any adjoining articles, but I'm sure it won't be the only example. I want you guys to notice that the same colors are being used, the same style is being used. You're creating a style and then you're repeating it throughout. I think it's the last thing I want to add on to that. This right here is an amazing use of that white space. It's still bringing emphasis to our character. We're still highlighting the main article, and then throughout we're still using that beautiful white space, right, with some color, and then the white of the article is coming to life. It's usually backwards. There's usually not this much color in a spread, just because printing issues, they don't always tend to print out right when it's so much color, and so you start using the white as a design element when usually it just becomes background. It's usually a lot more toned down. Let's look how it lines up face to face. It's really interesting. It's also very central in every single image. A good way to line up your designs with within is to divide it into like lower thirds. If we'll do that. And what happens is that a photographer tends to line up this point right here with the eye, the left eye. It's just something that happens naturally most of the time, but then it's also because our eye is attracted naturally to this point. We read in this general direction, so starting here on the top left going around is usually the direction that our eyeballs go in. Just something to keep in mind when you're laying up your imagery.